to find a different intro. Alex Jones, look, I love the guy. I think he's interesting, entertaining, but recently it's clear that that guy has sold out. It's clear that whatever threats they're using, whatever, influence Elon Musk has, whatever influence people have, he's just not the same. So I'm going to be discontinuing that and looking for something that I find just as cool and just as entertaining. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want it to be said perfectly clear. I have never been a Bernie Sanders supporter until today. I have never supported this guy. I've listened to people say, "Oh, I'm a Bernie Sanders guy." Never got it. I mean, he's a socialist. He's weird in a lot of ways, but his position on H-1B visas is absolutely spot on. It is completely correct. So here's what Bernie Sanders, and I can't believe I'm doing a pro Bernie Sanders video. Elon Musk is wrong. The main function of H-1B visa program is not to hire the best and brightest, but rather to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage indentured servants from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires will make. And that is absolutely true. And I'm really glad that he came out to say this. Kudos to you, Bernie, and I mean that sincerely. We have fundamental disagreements on a whole wide range of issues. From the First Amendment to the Second Amendment to all that stuff. But I commend you for coming out and saying this. Because what you're saying here is absolutely true. And let me take the opportunity to just like and to retweet this. So here's this page here. U.S. Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. News. We need major reforms in the H-1B program. January 2nd, coming from Washington, Senator Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont. He's a Democrat, okay? Yeah, he's been a Democrat. He never caucuses with the Republicans. He's a Democrat. Current chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, HELP, clever, today released the following statement on H-1B guest worker visas and recent debate concerning the program. There has been a lot of discussion lately about the H-1B guest worker program. Elon Musk and a number of other billionaire tech company owners have argued that this federal program is vital to our economy because of the scarcity of high-skilled American engineers and other tech workers. I disagree. The main function of the H-1B visa program and other guest worker initiatives is not to hire the best and the brightest, but rather to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage indentured servants from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make. In 2022 and 2023, the top 30 corporations using this program laid off at least 85,000 American workers, while they hired over 34,000 new H-1B guest workers. Let me repeat that again. The top 30 corporations in America used this program to lay off 85,000 Americans and replace them with over 34,000 H-1B workers. That is insanity. It is evil. There is no justification for it. This doesn't make America better. It doesn't improve our country. It just doesn't. And anyone, whether it's Elon Musk or it's Vivek or it's maybe Ted Nugent lost his mind and maybe he says something. I'm not saying he did, but no matter who it is, Trump himself, it doesn't matter. The H-1B visa issue is such a slam dunk that it's hard for me to believe that there's anyone in their right mind who would come out in favor of this. This is the easiest win in political history, which is why Bernie Sanders is jumping on this, because it is such a major win. This is not just corrupt, it's wrong, it's evil, it's immoral on so many different levels. You're firing American workers to bring in cheap indentured servants. That is the claim. And you know what? It's not even that hyperbolic, because that is what you're doing. You are giving American jobs to foreigners. That should be illegal. And when I say illegal, I don't mean that illegal means different things. Some people say, well, are you saying that they should be criminally prosecuted? I think that what should happen is, when you are found to have been using the H-1B or H-1A or whatever immigration passport to bring these people in, I think that it should be a very, 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 very steep punitive fine. And that fine shouldn't just go to the general government. I think that fine should go to help train American workers and to pay off the student loans. I know, I'm sounding more and more like a socialist every day, but no, think about it. It's not just student loan debt forgiveness, the way that Bernie and other people talk about it. It's not just a blanket forgiveness. There would have to be some pretty clear parameters. You would have had to go into a highly competitive STEM field where you're looking to get into science or math or electronics, looking to become an engineer, looking to get into technology, looking to do something that may actually advance and help the American people. And if you graduate, then I think the money that comes from penalizing these corporations should go to paying the student loan, so that these people don't have that hanging over their head and they can get right into work. And it also puts a penalty on these corporations from bringing in foreign labor and taking jobs from Americans, and it would force them to either hire American or get out of the country. And I'm fine with either one. I'd prefer they hired American, but if you want to move out of the country, oh my God, I think that you should be able to say, look, you want to move out of the country? That's fine. We are one of the biggest markets in the world. The tariff on your goods coming into this country is going to be 250%, and that's the starting point. 250%. You are going to basically make your product a luxury good, and guess what? I guarantee you, there will be people who make the product here. And guess what? They're not going to have that disadvantage. They're going to be able to sell something similar to your product, like, store brand Coke versus actual Coke. They'll create something. Believe me, if you leave, somebody will come in and they'll step in and they will hire American people and they will make a product. I guarantee it. Human beings are one of the most adaptive animals on the planet. I guarantee it. It will fix itself. If there is really a shortage of skilled tech labor in America, why did Tesla lay off over 7,500 American workers last year, including many software developers and engineers at his factory in Austin, Texas, while being approved to employ thousands of H-1B guest workers? Moreover, if these jobs are going to the best and brightest, why has Tesla employed H-1B guest workers as an associate accountant for as little as $58,000? Associate mechanical engineer for as little as $70,000. Now that's a lot of money. An associate material planner for as little as $80,000 a year. That doesn't sound like highly specialized jobs that are for the top 0.1%, as Musk claimed last week. Absolutely. And this is part of the way that Elon Musk blew up his reputation. Because that lie, that obvious transparent lie, was blown apart in the matter of a couple hours. And it is so obvious that it's not because you want the best and brightest. It's because a lot of people within the tech sphere don't give a shit about America. They view it as an economic zone, but they don't really care or respect American culture or the American people. And that, unfortunately, is who Elon Musk threw in his entire reputation with. The people shitting on Americans, the people shitting on white people. It's absolutely heartbreaking to see. So let's see. If if this program is really supposed to be about importing workers with highly advanced degrees in science and technology, why are H-1B guest workers being employed as dog trainers, massage therapists, cooks, and English teachers? Can we really not find English teachers in America? Let's be clear. To the extent that there may be labor shortages in our country in some highly specialized areas that need to be filled by employees from abroad through the H-1B program, we must utilize this program as a very short-term and temporary approach. In the long term, if the United States is going to be able to compete in a global economy, we must make sure that we have the best educated workforce in the world. And one way to help make that happen is to substantially increase the guest worker fees large corporations pay to fund scholarships, apprenticeships, and job training opportunities for American workers. This is something that I have advocated from my first days as a U.S. Senator. Furthermore, we must also significantly raise the minimum wage for we must significantly raise the minimum wage for guest workers, allow them to easily switch jobs, and to make sure that corporations are required to aggressively recruit American workers first before they hire workers from overseas. I agree with that last part. That's very important. That first part, don't really care. The widespread corporate abuse of the H-1B program must be ended. Bottom line, it should never be cheaper for a corporation to hire a guest worker from overseas than an American worker. Mr. Musk, Mr. Ramaswamy, and others have argued that we need a highly skilled and well-educated workforce. They are right, but the answer, however, is not to bring in cheap labor from abroad. The answer is to hire qualified American workers first, and to make certain that we have an education system that produces the kind of workforce that our country needs for the jobs of the future. And that's not just engineering. We are in desperate need of more doctors, nurses, dentists, teachers, electricians, plumbers, and a host of other professions. 30 years ago, the economic elite and political establishment in both major parties told us not to worry about the loss of blue-collar manufacturing jobs that would come as a result of the disastrous unfettered free trade agreement like NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China, PNTR. They promised that those lost jobs would be more than offset by the many good-paying white-collar information technology jobs that would be created in the United States. That is a brilliant statement. That is absolutely spot on. Well said, well spoken. And this is coming from Crazy Bernie. He's not sounding so crazy in this. There's only been one thing that I mildly disagree with. That's bravo. And it's absolutely true. Even Crazy Bernie gets it. Well, that turned out to be a big lie. Not only have corporations exported millions of blue collar manufacturing jobs to China, Mexico, and other low wage countries, they are now importing hundreds of thousands of low paid guest workers from abroad to fill the white collar technology jobs that are available. At the time of massive income and wealth inequality, oh, come on, Bernie, when the richest three people in the world now own more wealth than the bottom half of the country. I mean, he sort of just, it's like watching an old guy make a perfectly salient point and then start to drift off a little bit like, oh, yeah, no, we don't have that sort of resentment and bitterness that some of the socialists do. No, we're mainly focusing on the immigration problem and how it is a problem for American workers. We're not playing the class game or the class warfare game. Oh, the three richest people have more money. We'll leave that to Bernie and we'll leave that to the commies. We can appreciate that Bernie said something salient and intelligent while also acknowledging that there's a reason why they call him Crazy Bernie. In America, now own more wealth than the bottom half of the country, and when the CEOs of major corporations make almost 300 times more than the average workers, we need fundamental changes in our economic policies. No, we don't. That's communist bullshit. I agree with all the other stuff that you said, but then you start devolving. We need an economy that works for all, not just a few. And one important way forward in that direction is to bring major reforms. And see, I agree with that. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with your reforms based on what I read, but I agree that there do need to be reforms. And I completely agree with this. I think this is a brilliantly done thing. And I think that it shows a level of stupidity and incompetence and arrogance on the part of Musk and Vivek and these other people that they didn't understand what a hot button issue this was. Donald Trump just won an election on immigration. We don't want these people coming in here taking the jobs of American citizens. So what do they do before he's even in office? Oh, no, we do want to bring in people to take American jobs, but we want them to be a different kind of brown. Well, they're not really even a different kind of brown. We want them to be from another country. We want them to be from India rather than Mexico. Sorry, no. The answer is no. Just simply put. When Bernie gets this right and you get this wrong, you need to reevaluate your entire life. I mean, it's very simple. So, my thoughts on this in closing. I think that Elon and Vivek and these people have done more reputational damage than I think they can even comprehend. I think that Elon can pull himself out, but I don't think Vivek is ever recovering from this. Because now when people see memes, the type of memes that Vivek would post, they now think of him and they now think of Elon. When they talk about media corruption and media censorship, they now think of Elon and him censoring people that disagree with him. When they hear people trash talking America and Vivek comes out and says, we don't need to trash talk America and Americans, they think of Vivek trashing America and Americans. I think they've done reputational damage. I don't think there's any coming out of this. I think Trump was a complete and total fool to weigh in on this. He is an absolute imbecile to weigh in on this. And he did. And he made a statement that, oh yeah, I support Elon Musk. And then the moment that he did, the moment that the words left his mouth, it was like 15 minutes before somebody had a composition between Trump in 2016, Trump in 2020, and Trump now. And guess what? 2016 and 2020 Trump are correct. They were against H-1B visas. Completely against. There was no question. In 2016, Trump said, yeah, I use them, but I shouldn't because they disadvantage American workers. Like, he was very much against it. There was no ambiguity. But in 2024, now suddenly, oh, I've always been for them. No. And you make yourself look like a liar, and you make yourself look like a fool. That's one of the biggest blunders that I've seen from Trump in in a long, long time. So my position on this is America first. America first means Americans first. America is the people. It's not an economic zone where you can just bring in people to make money and then all of a sudden they become American. No. I think that to be an American, there is something special. It's not just something that you find in just anyone. And I think that a lot of people are feeling the effects of the American system being broken down because they've lost, they've lost a religious foundation, Christianity, a belief in Jesus Christ and God and that sort of stability and foundation. And as people get more and more arrogant and they flee from that and they bring in more people from across the world that don't share our values, that don't share our beliefs, that are worse people. Yeah, just be honest, they're worse people. And you may say, well, you're just saying that because of skin color. No, I don't want Australians or Canadians. You know, Canadians or people from the UK or Sweden. I would make an exception for Poland, but the reality is that no, it's about the fact that the West is in the heart of Americans. And they have spent years degrading America and Americans, and they've spent years saying that you just need to do better and ignore all the problems that are going on and just eat the shit that you've been handed. And people are finally saying no, and they're angry and they're upset to the point where Bernie Sanders actually makes a good point. Crazy. All right, well, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.